One of
Yeah,
them.
yeah. I'd like to add a couple words about Matt Call. I didn't add him to the doc. I'm not sure. I imagine it was
Yeah, I think I
Daniel.
know who did
I'd
then.
imagine it was Daniel. Um, but if we bring up Matt Caldwell, I'd also like to bring up another name as well.
Ooh.
But that's in Pontus Holmberg.
Yeah, we haven't talked
Mhm.
about him, have we?
No, and
Six
that's fine. Perfect. That's perfect. Fourth line
okay.
center. I don't want to talk about him.
Sixth round pick, right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, man, Matt, like, here's the thing. Matt Caldwell is your third pairing defenseman. I don't want to talk about him either. And I haven't had to. Isn't that such a great thing? Like, ah, but I think the thing with Matt Caldwell and Pontus Holmberg too is an example of what I've been, and I think other Leaf fans have been looking for from the Leafs prospect pool in terms of there has to be guys around where you can drop them in the lineup in the bottom six and it's going to be okay. It's
Hmm?
going to be fine. If you look at the best teams, that's what, and I'm not saying Toronto's a top team, but what I'm suggesting is if you want to be a best team, you have to adopt similar practices to the teams around you. And I think that's what this is another example of. Like, listen, Tampa Bay bring up random guy and he works, and I think that's what the Leafs have struggled with over the last few years, where they've had to go out and find those guys instead of them not necessarily being within their system. And I think over the next few years, along with these two guys, um, it's going to be it's going to be fine. And I look at Mac Hollowell in particular as maybe this is a guy, and I don't know when he's going to be a full-time NHLer, but it's not a bad thing to have him as your third pairing defenseman for the future. And I think the same could be said for Pontus Holmberg playing in the bottom six. This, like, not everyone is going to be top six talent. That's just not how this works. And I think having these two young guys who, listen, if things start to deteriorate for them in terms of it's just a lot, like, again, playing in the NHL is a completely different ball game. The accessibility of being able to move them back to the AHL and again go there and continue to develop, I think is a thing that the Leafs necessarily haven't had for the last couple of years, especially in the bottom end of their lineup. I feel like they've been trying to bring in guys. A lot of the guys they've tried to bring in need a bigger role. Like, you look at Nick Robertson, I think is the prime example. There's no reason to play Nick Robertson in your bottom six because I don't think he's going to thrive the way he would in the top six. But if you look at a guy like Pontus Holmberg, he's not a top six guy. He's where he is, and that's perfect.
Yeah, I like that both of them in a way they've kind of I don't like using this, but they made their bones in the AHL already that they got those runs in now and we're looking at how they can be really good contributors. This is funny because I'm gonna use a Ken Holland Detroit era
Oh
quote. Detroit era, don't worry, when it was good. Um, he likes the prospects over ripe.
God. Mm-hmm.
So
Hmm.
when these guys like they're breaking out now, they're around 23, 24. I think you're finally seeing that we gave enough time to see what kind of role we have for them. It's like what you said, Alex. Like they're not all going to be top four, they're not all going to be top six guys, but they are homegrown talent that know the system that could fit in seamlessly and they can still go back and forth and be decent contributors or good contributors. So that's what I like seeing with both of them, especially Mac Hollowell, by the way, because
Because you predicted it. You
I
because you
predicted
predicted
it.
it.
Yes. Also, going to a lot of Marlies games, I always saw the guy play there for so long, and he finally made it. So I'm happy for him. Also, undersized guy, 5'9".
Part of drafting and developing isn't just superstars,
Mm-hmm.
just warm bodies. And listen, it's a good sign. Like I didn't think we'd spend that much time on Mac Hollowell,
So I just had a
but
lot of thoughts.
it's just a thing of like it's better to have him than Martin Marincin, for example. Like you guys talk about sort of system and like transitioning in players just like that. It's always I think been a credit of I think they said that about Tampa's AHL team, Syracuse, where it
Mhm.
was played the same style going up and down, so it's an easier transition. There you go.